To understand the firestorm that engulfed North Africa during World War II, we must return to 1940, when Europe was already in ruin. Hitler's blitzkrieg had crushed Poland and France. Britain stood alone. But while bombs fell over London, another war savage, sun-scorched and less understood, was igniting across the deserts of North Africa. Italy, under Benito Mussolini, had dreams of resurrecting the Roman Empire. Seeing Britain cornered and France collapsing, Mussolini seized the opportunity. In June 1940, Italy declared war and launched an invasion of British-held Egypt from Italian Libya, aiming to capture the Suez Canal, a vital artery linking Britain to its empire. But ambition would meet reality in the sand. Operation Compass, Britain strikes back. The Italians brought nearly 200,000 troops, but they lacked experience, logistical support, and a clear understanding of desert warfare, and their advance quickly stalled. Enter Britain's Western Desert Force. In December 1940, with only 36,000 men, the British launched Operation Compass, a daring surprise counteroffensive. What followed was a military masterclass. Despite being outnumbered, the British used speed, deception, and mobile tactics. In just 10 weeks, they overran Italian positions, captured more than 130,000 Italian soldiers, and advanced deep into Libya, halting only at El Agheila. Italy's North African empire was crumbling, but the Axis wasn't finished. Rommel arrives, the Desert Fox. Alarmed by Italy's failures, Hitler sent reinforcements, the Afrika Korps, commanded by one of Germany's finest, General Erwin Rommel. Rommel brought charisma, daring, and a new approach to desert warfare. In March 1941, he launched a whirlwind counteroffensive, pushing the British back across hundreds of miles against orders. Rommel's maneuvers defied convention. He attacked through sandstorms, flanked through open desert, and struck when least expected. He quickly reached Tobruk, a critical port, and besieged its Australian garrison. For 8 long months, the defenders held on, symbolizing Allied resistance. Tobruk became a beacon of defiance and a thorn in Rommel's side. First Battle of El Alamein, stalemate in the sand. By mid-1942, Rommel had launched another eastward advance. British forces fell back to El Alamein, only 60 miles from Alexandria. If the Axis broke through, the Nile and the Suez would fall. But here, the desert turned against Rommel. The front narrowed between the Mediterranean and the Qattara Depression. Minefields choked every route, and the British had a new commander, General Bernard Montgomery. Disciplined and meticulous, Montgomery refused to be baited. He fortified El Alamein and prepared for the long game. The First Battle of El Alamein began in July 1942. Although it ended in a hard-fought stalemate, Rommel was halted for the first time. Operation Torch, a new front. While Rommel regrouped in Egypt, a storm was gathering in the west. On November 8, 1942, the Allies launched Operation Torch, the first major Anglo-American war operation. Troops landed in Morocco and Algeria, confronting French Vichy forces loyal to the German regime. After brief resistance, many Vichy troops defected, allowing the Allies to establish a foothold. With Montgomery pressing from Egypt and American forces advancing from Algeria, Rommel was caught in a vice. Second Battle of El Alamein, the turning point. On October 23, 1942, Montgomery launched his assault, marking the Second Battle of El Alamein, the largest Allied offensive in North Africa. The British had over 1,000 tanks, 1,500 guns, and complete air superiority. Operation Lightfoot, an opening artillery barrage, lit up the night sky. Then the infantry cautiously advanced through minefields known as the Devil's Gardens. Rommel, sick and under-resourced, fought fiercely. But it was hopeless. On November 4th, he ordered a retreat. British Prime Minister Winston Churchill famously said, "Before Alamein, we never had a victory. After Alamein, we never had a defeat." The Kasserine Pass, America's harsh lesson. While Montgomery pushed west, American and British forces advanced through Algeria into Tunisia. However, the terrain there was mountainous and treacherous, unlike the open desert. In February 1943, Rommel saw an opening. He launched an attack against inexperienced American troops at the Kasserine Pass. The result was disastrous. American forces were routed, nearly 1,000 killed, hundreds captured. It was a wake-up call. The U.S. command was restructured, with General George S. Patton taking over the two corps. Training and coordination improved rapidly. The once green Americans began to harden. Tunisia, 1943. The Axis collapses. By spring 1943, the Axis forces were cornered in Tunisia. Allied forces pressed in from both directions, marking the beginning of the final phase. Fierce battles raged at El Guitar, the Mareth Line, and Hill 609. German resistance was desperate but fragmented. Supplies dwindled. Rommel was recalled to Germany. His successors lacked his brilliance. On May 13, 1943, the Axis in North Africa surrendered. Over 275,000 Axis troops. They were taken prisoner. The Allies controlled the entire region. Strategic impact, a desert victory. The North African campaign wasn't just a victory, it was a turning point. It proved the Axis could be beaten. It demonstrated Allied coordination on a continental scale. It provided the Allies with a launchpad for the invasion of Sicily, Operation Husky, and later Italy. It also drew German resources away from the Eastern Front, easing pressure on the Soviets. At the Casablanca Conference, Allied leaders agreed on a policy of unconditional surrender. North Africa had reshaped the war's trajectory. Legacy, a crucible of leaders. North Africa became a crucible where leaders were forged. Patton proved himself a fierce and fearless field commander. Eisenhower, the architect of Operation Torch, would later lead D-Day. Montgomery gained credibility and command of future Allied invasions. Rommel, though defeated, earned lasting respect for his brilliance, even from enemies. The campaign also pioneered new tactics in logistics, air-ground coordination, and mobile warfare. It was, in many ways, a rehearsal for what would follow in Normandy and beyond. Human stories, the desert test. Beyond commanders and strategies were the soldiers, the human engine of the campaign. They endured hellish conditions, blistering 120 degrees Fahrenheit days, freezing nights, relentless sandstorms, and diseases such as dysentery and malaria. Water was precious, supplies were scarce. The desert was unforgiving. Medical units worked in unimaginable conditions. Some troops survived days behind enemy lines, living off scavenged rations. Men died not only from bullets, but from dehydration and heat stroke. One soldier wrote, "Only God's grace and water keep us alive. The flies are worse than the bullets. The sand is in our souls." Their sacrifice deserves remembrance. The enduring lessons. The North African campaign reminds us that war isn't always won in great cities or on famous beaches. Sometimes it's decided in deserts, in places forgotten by maps, but remembered by history. It showed that bravery could bloom in brutal environments, and unity could overcome even the fiercest opposition. It laid the groundwork for the ultimate Allied victory, and gave hope to a world in flames. And in the endless sands between Cairo and Casablanca, history was made. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Who do you think was the true mastermind of victory in North Africa?